Welcome to Fan for Racing Radio. I am Fan for Racing Sharon, and joining me today is Jay Huseman, and we are going to be talking about the North Wilksboro preview for the NASCAR Cup Series. It's All-Star Race Weekend, Jay.
It is. So, Sharon, can you give me your best Cuba Gooding Jr. from Jerry Maguire?
Show me the money.
There you go.
Okay. So there's a lot to talk about here in the NASCAR Cup Series because we've got two races with the Open and with the All-Star race this weekend. So we'll get right into it because there's going to be a couple of points here. The NASCAR Cup Series, NASCAR All-Star Open at North Wilksboro Speedway, and this is a 0.625-mile asphalt oval, will be Sunday, May the 18th, starting at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You'll be able to find coverage on Fox Sports 1 starting at 5 p.m. Eastern. Radio coverage is on MRN and Sirius XM NASCAR Channel 90. They'll race a distance of the 62.5 miles over 100 laps. There will be a competition break at or around lap 50. Now, there's also the All-Star race. The NASCAR All-Star race at North Wilkesboro Speedway on the 0.625-mile asphalt oval is also on Sunday, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern. And again, coverage will be on Fox Sports 1 with all of that pre-race coverage starting at 5 p.m. Radio coverage on MRN and Sirius XM NASCAR Channel 90. They'll race a distance of 156.25 miles over 250 laps. Their competition break will happen around lap 100. So the All-Star race and open practice will be on Friday on Fox Sports 2, Jay, as well as MRN and Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. That starts at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. And then the Busch Light Pole qualifying for both the All-Star and Open, as well as a pit crew challenge, will be on Fox Sports 1, MRN, and Sirius XM starting at 6 p.m. Eastern. On Sunday, we've given you the start times for all of those. The Open starts at 5. The All-Star race starts at 8 p.m. So we've got storylines and insights for both events. So let's go ahead and get started, Jay.
All right. Yeah. I will start at the top. Well, the 2025 All-Star race is the 41st year of the event and the 8th not held at Charlotte. There was the 1986 Atlanta race, and then in 2020, NASCAR started moving it around. 2020, it was at Bristol. 2021 and 22, it was at Texas. And now 2023 through 25, it's been at North Wilkesboro.
All right. This is the third consecutive year North Wilkesboro Speedway will host the NASCAR All-Star race. So 3 years in a row for North Wilkesboro.
And 23 drivers are expected to compete in the 2025 All-Star race. 20 are already qualified, plus 3 more to transfer.
And Harrison Burton is the only driver qualified for the 25 All-Star race, making his first start in the event.
The winner of the All-Star race went on to win the championship in 3 of the last 5 years, 13 times total. That is actually an amazing stat to me. 3 of the last 5 and 13 times total. All-Star race heads to the championship.
Okay, Joey Logano finished top 10 in the last 10 All-Star races. That's the longest streak of top 10 all time in the event.
Well, he needs to get himself another top 10, get his season in the right direction, as does Brad Keselowski. Now, he has finished runner-up 3 times in the All-Star race, which is tied for the most second-place finishes in the event without winning. The other 2 drivers to have done it, some great All-Stars, Sterling Marlin and Ken Schrader.
All right. Now, Kyle Larson won the All-Star race 3 of the last 6 years. His 3 All-Star wins are tied for the second most Jimmy Johnson has 4.
Well, and that was part of Jimmy Johnson being part of Hendrick Motorsports. HMS drivers won the All-Star race 3 of the last 5 years. Team Penske is the one that won the other 2. And we just talked about that. That ties into championships, apparently. And those 2 teams definitely rank in that category as well.
Continuing on with Hendrick Motorsports domination, 11 NASCAR All-Star race wins, leads all organizations.
Now, 6 drivers qualified for this season All-Star race are past All-Star race winners. Kyle Larson, who's won it in 19, 2020, and 23. Joey Logano in 2016 and 2024. Ryan Blaney in 2022. Chase Elliott in 2020. Kyle Busch is the key one from 2017 because he hasn't won in the past year. But then Denny Hamlin as well from 2015 because that does guarantee you a starting spot.
Now, Toyota is winless. We don't hear that very often in the last 7 All-Star races. Chevrolet has won 4 of the last 7, with Ford winning the other 3. So pretty surprising to hear that Toyota has not won in the last 7 All-Star races.
Most certainly. And I know you were talking about this as part of the weekend events. There is a $100,000 bonus and a trophy that'll be awarded to the winner of the Pit Crew Challenge this season.
And Christopher Bell's crew won the Pit Crew Challenge both years at North Wilkesboro. In 2024, that was with Bell, and in 2023 with Ty Gibbs. The front tire changer, Blake Houston, rear tire changer, Michael Hicks, tire carrier, Jacob Holmes, Jackman, Darrell Edwards, and fueler, Peyton Moore, are competing.
And if you want to keep track as they're going through it, write these times down. The Pit Crew Challenge winning times in 2023 is 13.012 seconds. In 2024, 13.223 seconds. So if you got those numbers in your head and you start seeing these guys crank off their pit stops, you'll know where they rank based off of those times the last 2 years at North Wilkesboro.
Yeah, that's pretty good to know. Now, the All-Star Heat races were canceled in 2024 because they had rain. But Daniel Suarez did win Heat 1 in 2023. Chris Buescher was the winner of the second Heat race.
If I recall correctly, that wasn't rain. That was a torrential flood. And North Wilkesboro did a great job of pumping out the water because it was, I think, knee deep in some areas.
Yes.
Now, Noah Gragson has won the last 2 fan votes in 2023 and 2024, and he is one of the 17 drivers to win the vote all time.
Okay, now each of the last 9 All-Star race winners were also NASCAR Cup Series champions.
And the NASCAR All-Star race has been won from the first starting position 7 times among 6 different drivers. Those include Dale Earnhardt in 1990, Davey Allison in 91 and 92, Kurt Busch in 2010, Denny Hamlin's win in 2015, one of Kyle Larson's in 2021, and then Joey Logano in 2024.
Now, the most starts prior to winning the All-Star race is 12, and that's by Kyle Busch in 2017. Now, of the active drivers looking for their first NASCAR All-Star race win, Brad Keselowski has made the most starts without a victory at 16. Kind of surprising there.
Well, and there again, of just to get the season in the right direction and pick up some momentum, Brad K could certainly use a win of any kind right now.
Okay, we'll go over the All-Star and Open format and run that down for you. Jay, why don't you go ahead and do the first section there, and then we'll alternate sections.
The Open and All-Star race, heat qualifying, and pit road challenge. So qualifying for the Open and the All-Star heat races work the same way, with Open cars going first, then followed by the All-Star cars. It'll be 3 laps, including a pit stop on lap number 2 that has pit road speed in place. Lap 2 pit stop includes the pit road challenge. The fastest 4-tire pit stop with empty fuel cans based on pit loop to pit loop times determines the winner and pit road selection. The loops are placed one box ahead of and one box behind the designated spots where they'll be pitting. Now, qualifying determines the open starting lineup and determines the heat race lineups, and pole winner starts first in heat number 1 and the all-star race.
All right. Now, the heat races for the all-star race are going to be 75 laps each. All laps will count. The all-star caution will come around lap 30, and heat 1 results set the inside row for the all-star race, while heat 2 results will set the outside row for the all-star race. There'll be one attempt at overtime.
Ooh, only one attempt. That makes it interesting. You're right. Now on the All-Star Open, that's 100 laps. Again, all laps count. The All-Star caution there will be around lap 50. There's only one overtime attempt if necessary. The top 2 finishers plus a fan vote winner then will transfer to the All-Star race and start at the rear of the field.
All right. Next, we'll look at the all-star race format. They are racing the 250 laps, and again, all laps will count. The all-star caution comes around, or competition caution, comes around lap 100. There will be an option promoter's caution. That must occur before lap 220, but expires if a natural caution occurs after lap 200. So that's something that you'll want to make sure you know about as you watch this race. Again, the optional promoter's caution must occur before lap 220, but it expires if a natural caution occurs after lap 200. Overtime rules will apply.
Now, we'll talk about the All-Star Race eligibility requirements. We hit on one of them already, but winners from 2024, 2025 so far this year, any past All-Star winners who are full-time. That's a key element there. They got to be full-time. We just talked about that. Past Cup champions, again, who are full-time. And then the 3 drivers that advance from the Open, the All-Star Open winner, the All-Star Open runner-up, as well as the fan vote winner.
All right. So that gives you a lot of the details there. Next, we'll give you some of the highlights of what we've already told you about. They say repetition is always good. So we're going to give you those highlights of some of the things you can watch for in this race coming up.
Well, and that starts with reigning NASCAR Cup Series champion and Joey Logano. He's primed for the All-Star Race defense. If you're trying to find a predictor of the eventual NASCAR Cup Series champion, the winner of the NASCAR All-Star Race might be a good place to look. We gave the stats on that.
Okay, in 3 of the last 5 years, the All-Star Race winner has gone on to win the title. Chase Elliott at Bristol in 2020, Kyle Larson at Texas Motor Speedway in 2021, and Joey Logano, the defender of this race, at North Wilksboro Speedway just last year.
Now add Ryan Blaney's All-Star victory at Texas in 2022, and you have another impressive statistic. The organization that has won the All-Star race has won the Cup Championship in 4 of the last 5 years. Hendrick Motorsports in 2020 and 21, and then Team Penske in 22 and 24. We talked about those 2 powerhouses.
Yes. Also, Logano credits last year's March 14th tire test at North Wilkesboro leading up to the All-Star race as one of the factors that flipped the switch for Team Penske and propelled him toward his 3rd Cup Series championship.
And as one of the 20 drivers already qualified for the event, Logano will defend his victory in Sunday's NASCAR All-Star race at the iconic 0.625 mile short track.
All right. Now, 3 more drivers will be added to the 20-driver field before the green flag waves. 2 will come from the 100-lap All-Star Open, and one will be chosen through the All-Star fan vote.
Now, qualifying for both the Open and the All-Star race, again, will take place on Friday. That includes that pit crew challenge component. Those time trials will set the starting order for the pair of Saturday heat races that then determine the grid for the All-Star race.
Now, the first 75-lap heat sets the order for the inside row of the All-Star lineup, with the second heat race ordering the outside row. The qualifiers from the Open and fan vote will be added to the rear of the field.
And Front Row Motorsports driver Noah Gragson has won the last two fan votes. Josh Berry and Ty Gibbs are the two Open winners at North Wilkesboro. Berry is already eligible for this year's All-Star race because of his victory at Las Vegas earlier in March.
The All-Star race itself is scheduled for 250 laps. That's up from 200 laps run in the first two editions of the race at North Wilkesboro, with a competition caution again taking place around the 100th lap.
In addition, that single optional promoter's caution at the discretion of Speedway Motorsports Incorporated CEO Marcus Smith, he's our promoter for this, can be used to reshape the race. Again, it's got to be before lap 220, but cannot be used after lap 200 if preempted by that naturally occurring caution.
Okay, now there are 6 former winners of the NASCAR All-Star race already qualified for Sunday's 41st running of the event. Larson, Logano, Blaney, Chase Elliott, Kyle Busch, and Denny Hamlin.
Mentioned Larson already has 3 All-Star race victories to his credit in 2019, 21, and 23, and can make that tie with NASCAR Hall of Famer Jimmy Johnson for the most all-time with another one. Jimmy Johnson holding the record right now at 4.
And Hendrick Motorsports has compiled a series best 11 All-Star victories. Team Penske is next with 5. Busch claimed the most recent All-Star victory for Toyota in 2017. So it has been a while for Toyota.
Shoo, boy, is it ever. Talking about Kyle Busch being with Toyota.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is, I think, part of the main reasons we're back at North Wilkesboro. Joey Logano relishes not only the competition, but also the history of the North Wilkesboro track. So,
yes.
And what that track embodies. And I would have to agree with that 100%. You want me to run through the Open drivers?
Yeah.
All right. The number 4 for Front Row Motorsports would be Noah Gragson. The number 7 from Spire Motorsports is Justin Haley. The number 10 of Colleague Racing is Ty Dillon. Cody Ware is in the number 15 Rick Ware Racing. The number 16 Colleague Racing machine is AJ Allmendinger. 2311's 23 is Bubba Wallace. Another Front Row Motorsports, the number 34, that is Ty Gibbs. Another 2311 Racing is the 35 of Riley Herbst. Front Row Motorsports has a third one there with Zane Smith in the number 38. The Haas Factory team has Cole Custer in the number 41. The Legacy Motor Club, there's their back-to-back here, the 42 and 43. That'll be John Hunter Nemechek and Eric Jones, respectively. The 54 of Joe Gibbs Racing is Ty Gibbs, still looking for that first win. Ryan Preece in the number 60 for RFK. Chad Fincham, that'll be the one open driver, if you will, of Chad Fincham in the number 66 for Garage 66. Then a couple more Spire Motorsports machines. The 71 is Michael McDowell. The 77 is Carson Hocevar. And finally, the 88 is Shane Van Gisbergen from Trackhouse Racing.
Okay, and for the All-Star entry list, we have Ross Chastain in the number 1 from Trackhouse Racing. From Team Penske, it's Austin Cindric in the number 2. The number 3 is Austin Dillon for Richard Childress Racing. Kyle Larson drives that number 5 for Hendrick Motorsports. RFK Racing, it's Brad Keselowski in the number 6. Kyle Busch is in the number 8 for RCR. Chase Elliott in the number 9 for Hendrick Motorsports. In the 11, of course, it's Denny Hamlin for JGR, Joe Gibbs Racing. Ryan Blaney will be behind the wheel of the number 12 Team Penske Ford. Chris Buescher for RFK Racing in that number 17. Chase Briscoe in the 19 car for Joe Gibbs Racing. Christopher Bell in the 20 car, again for Joe Gibbs Racing. For Wood Brothers Racing, it's Josh Berry in the number 21. Joey Logano for Team Penske will be in the number 22. William Byron's in the number 24 for Hendrick Motorsports. And then Tyler Reddick in the number 45 for our 2311 Racing. For Hayek Motorsports, it's Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the number 47. Alex Bowman behind the wheel of the 48 for Hendrick Motorsports. And Harrison Burton will drive the number 51 Rick Ware Racing Ford. And then Daniel Suarez in the number 99 for Trackhouse Racing.
All right. Well, Sharon, you asked about news and notes. I will add one here because they didn't have it in here so fans understand it. The number 51 of Rick Ware Racing, that car is normally driven by Cody Ware full time. However, being that Harrison Burton won last year as a driver for at that time, or was that with the Wood Brothers then, they have put him in that full-time machine of the number 51 because that ensures that car starts. So Cody Ware is then in the number 15. So I wanted to throw that in there.
And, you know, Harrison did qualify to be in this All-Star race with his win last year. That was in the Wood Brothers 21.
Yep. So that's Josh Berry still earned his own way in by picking up that victory at Las Vegas we talked about in March.
Yes.
The other thing I wanted to hit on, we've been talking about the fan vote. Right now, the top 5 all-star vote getters are Shane Van Gisbergen. These are alphabetical, by the way. Shane Van Gisbergen, Noah Gragson, Carson Hocevar, Ryan Preece, and Bubba Wallace. You mentioned Noah Gragson winning the last 2, so he is one that's in the running as the top 5 right now. Sharon, you got your fan vote there out of that group?
Well, I tell you what, they won't announce the fan vote winner until after the open race because some of those drivers may work their way into the All-Star race by finishing first or second in that open race. So once they know who those drivers are, then they can announce the one with the highest votes that can be the third qualifier into the All-Star event. Who's my favorite? You got to think that Noah Gragson has a good chance of being the driver that's going to make it for the 3rd consecutive season. Yeah, I think Ryan Preece has gained a lot of fans this year. Maybe he's a close second for that. Who are your picks?
Well, you know I'm a Noah Gragson fan, and I would, like you said, like to see him race his way in and not have to rely on the fan vote. But I think this one, is going to be one of the toughest. And I don't know if they reveal how close they are, because like you said, they just announce who it is after everybody's qualified. I think Carson Hocevar, I know there's some fans that are against him, but I think there are some fans that are with him. You mentioned Ryan Preece. I'll come back to him. We know Shane Van Gisbergen brings some popular fan vote, being from Australia, as does Bubba Wallace. The key thing I think about Ryan Preece, if I had to be honest here, I think is the strongest running, even between him and Bubba Wallace. I think so far this year, the strongest running driver that hasn't won yet. So it may be a toss-up between them. I really think this is the closest or toughest top 5 that I've seen in a while anyway.
And you never know, Ryan Preece might race his way in as well.
Exactly.
So we just have to wait and see, and then they go to whoever is the next on that list. So pretty exciting.
It is, because I really do think of, depending on let's just say that these 5, none of them are the top 2. I would not want to be trying to pick the actual top vote getter, because I could see any one of them getting the top fan vote. I really could.
What about the All-Star race, Jay?
Oh, going back to that, looking and listening to all the stats, I'm going to kind of fall in line, but not completely. I'm going to go with Hendrick Motorsports. However, it's not who you think. I say William Byron, and I know that's then a hint at the championship as well. So that's why I kind of went with him.
All right. Well, that's pretty exciting. William Byron is a good choice. I'm always looking at the possibility of Ryan Blaney winning. He has not had a win yet this year. Ford has 3 wins, Chevrolet 4. I'm going to stick with Ryan Blaney.
Sharon, it scares me how much we think alike. That was honestly the other one, because again, it stayed with Team Penske, who's right there with Hendrick Motorsports and going on to the championship and all that. So yeah, that was actually the other one I was actually thinking about. He again needs that win, kind of get that momentum and win back in their sales, since they don't seem to get the finishes. So that was exactly my other option.
And it was a Team Penske driver who won it last year with Joey Logano. So it could be any one of those 3 cars, but I'm gonna stick with Ryan Blaney.
Well, since you have the article, I'm going to set you up. We were talking about Ryan Preece being an RFK driver and maybe getting the fan voter racing his way in. We talked about Brad Keselowski having a tough year. Well, there's a 3rd driver at RFK, and that is Chris Buescher, and it's not good news.
No, it is not. Buescher driving the number 17 Ford to an 8th place finish in Sunday's race. It was actually won by Kyle Larson. Came up with a penalty after NASCAR took the car to the R&D center. They found a penalty for him. It's an L1 penalty for section 14.1.c, overall assembled vehicle rules for the front bumper cover. The team has been assessed $75,000 and with the loss of 60 owner and driver points and 5 NASCAR playoff driver and owner points. Crew Chief Scott Graves has been suspended for the next 2 NASCAR Cup Series events through Charlotte Motor Speedway. So basically for the All-Star race and for the Coca-Cola 600. Now, the penalty announcement also impacted the playoff standings, moving Buescher out of the provisional 16-driver field and jostling other drivers around the elimination line. Before the 60-point penalty deduction, Buescher was 33 points to the good above the cut line. He now drops to minus 27 points below the cut line. Ryan Preece moves from -7 to +14, so he's on the good side of the cut line as a provisional 16th driver in the field, and that nudges Kyle Busch to the last driver out at -7. So quite impactful there. Brad Moran, the guy who reinforces all of these things from NASCAR, says that unfortunately the number 17 did not meet the rule and had a larger area than what is permitted to be bonded into the nose piece. Moran said they can work within that area, but they went too far, would be the simplest terms of putting it. The Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing Team again had those penalties, and the crew chief is going to be out for the All-Star race and the Coca-Cola 600. As the car was being developed, we recognized we were doing damage to the nose of the car and didn't want to be using up good parts on repairs, Moran said. We put out communications that were very clear and specific that the teams could strengthen behind the foam, which is where there was cracking and damage during those races. It was an area around the foam that you're allowed 2 inches, and it was beyond that, which is a rule violation. They were allowed to modify that area, but not to the extent that they did. That's why it turned into an L1 penalty. So there you have it. They're allowed to work in that area, but they went too far. And so NASCAR came down kind of heavy with the 60 points and the 5 playoff point penalty, especially.
Well, I'll make 2 points there, and I know this will probably be one of the hot topics on Monday that we talk about. The first one being, as Sharon and I were talking about this as we got ready to come on and set this up, I think it's ironic. A couple of weeks ago, Ryan Preece got a penalty. I think it was from Talladega, or DQ, knocked himself out of the top 16 at that point. Now he gets back in based off of somebody else's mistake. And at this point, we don't know if the RFK is going to appeal or not. So we can't give you any update on that yet. Maybe we'll have more come Monday. So I think that was kind of ironic that he got back in. Unfortunately, it was from a teammate. The other thing I wanted to hit on, without going into any of the opinions, I'll save that for Monday. But I have talked about this on previous hot topics, I think actually this past week. So if you want to go back and listen to the last couple of weeks worth of hot topics, I have said NASCAR should give them a little bit of playroom, which they did. But then if we give you an inch, don't be trying taking more than that inch, because if not, we're going to come down hard. And that's exactly what they did. So
yes.
I like this scenario. They gave them room. They said, hey, we're going to give you some options, but don't go beyond that, because you don't get no more. So, and like I said, we'll talk more about it on Monday, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure we will. And I did just look to see if there was any update on whether or not they were going to appeal. They have time to make that decision. But if they appeal, I kind of think they won't, because if they appeal, then the crew chief would be able to be in the All-Star event and then miss the Charlotte race and the next race after that, which are points-paying races. So I kind of think they might not, just for that reason alone.
Well, again, without trying to go too in far depth, that's a very interesting point, though. I hadn't thought about that. You're putting at risk 2 points races versus only 1 at this point, with the All-Star race being in there. The other thing, and this is where they were talking about it already on Sirius XM after it was announced, was that the rule is black and white. We're giving you the 2 inches, don't go beyond that, and they did. And the fact that then it falls into, as they were saying, the standard issue parts that you're just not allowed to play with. They were making that comparison anyway. And the fact that, like I said, they gave them a little bit of leeway, and the team went beyond it, and if your argument is, well, it gives no advantage, or we didn't mean to, that ain't going to fly on an appeal. That ain't going to fly on an appeal. So I think you're right. I don't think they do appeal it. And with what you pointed out of the fact that right now one of them is a non-points race, probably the direction they should go.
Yeah, I'm thinking so. And the fact that they, NASCAR has a very clear-cut rule in an area that they allow them to play with, and they went beyond that line in the sand. And so I've always said, if you can go that little bit over, why can't you stay within the parameters that NASCAR gives? So there's probably an explanation for it, but they did go beyond. And so NASCAR came down heavy on them. And as they should, for all the reasons
I agree. I agree.
It's unfortunate for Chris Buescher. But as I've often said before, my thing is I don't want to crown a champion at the end of the year who's been caught cheating during the year for a competitive advantage. So NASCAR should go pretty hard on them. And I like it when they take the points away because it means that they've got to work that much harder to get back in.
Most certainly. And again, they've been adding those playoff points. 5 playoff points, that's equivalent to a win. So even if you win, you don't get those 5 playoff points that go with it.
Yep.
You know, that hurts. That hurts.
You got to get 2 wins to get the equivalent playoff points.
There you go.
You've heard Jay and I comment a little bit here as a preview to Hot Topic Sound Off because we will be back on Monday night with our Hot Topic Sound Off at 10 o'clock Eastern and 9 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Pacific time for our live stream in which Chris Crichton will be here to give us his thoughts as well. You won't know what that is until Monday night. So be sure to tune in. We'll also be back to do the reviews for all of the shows that we are previewing here tonight. And we hope everybody enjoys their race weekend. But Jay, anything you want to add there?
No, I just said this is one of those with the All-Star Open. Again, we talked about it to start the show. It's all about the money, no points. So that kind of adds that intrigue. The All-Star Open has a very tendency to be one of the most aggressive, hard-pushing races of the year. You know, it's kind of like the heat races. Like, you got to get there to get in. It's their last chance. So it's all or nothing. And then the All-Star race itself is an all or nothing because it's all about the money. So I like the All-Star weekend.
And that promoter's caution is the unknown.
And a twist. There you go. And a twist
to this particular race. So it should be fun.
Most certainly looking forward to it. And we'll see you on the next one there come Monday.
Yes. Thank you so much for tuning in. We do appreciate it. And we will be back on Monday. So thank you again for watching. Take care, everybody, and enjoy your race weekend.